Hey gamers, this is Johnny Sins. I wanted to make sure that you're subscribed to Comment Awards in order to ensure that epic victory royale. They have some good shit. I'm gonna go binge some more meme awards now.
Which conspiracy theory is so believable that it might be true? Robert Kardashian destroyed evidence that would have convicted OJ. He was handed a Louis Vuitton garment bag by OJ's assistant right as OJ returned from Chicago. None of the cops paid any attention to him as he walked away with the bag. When the bag theory was discovered a month later, Kardashian claimed to have lost it. Man, the authorities fucked that case up in pretty much every way possible. When I worked as a correctional officer a decade ago, it was the case study on how to not handle evidence. In my undergrad, I've had multiple professors and guest lecturers put enormous emphasis on just how poorly that case was handled. The Reddit search function is intentionally bad, or not purposely bad, but they know how to fix it but refuse to encourage more new posts. God, it's so awful, unusable I would say. I have been Redditing daily since around 2012 and it has always been bad. I just Google whatever and put Reddit after. Apple started the meme about AirPods being expensive as a marketing ploy. Happened around Christmas. You might be right. PETA is controlled opposition run by the meat industry designed to make animal rights activists look bad. They act so insane and overly petty at times I can almost believe this one. I can't believe my most upvoted comment is just a passive remark that basically restates the post. That the government made this post to see if we were onto them. Holy shit. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you googled Disney Frozen you would get information about the movie and not websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. And don't forget about Disney on Ice too. Everyone knows Disney on Ice was created to offset the Google searches curious about going to Disneyland while high on meth. Cops go on ways and leave random police sightings to cause people to slow without actually having to stay and check on people. One guy actually posted on Reddit that he did this so that his traffic duty was easier. It's better than giving tickets. Edit. There are states that have bank ticket quotas. I think it's smart for them. It gets the job done of getting people to slow down without having to worry about pulling over a crazy person. The real reason Apple removed the headphone jack was to try to remove Square Pay systems as a competitor for Apple Pay. Rob Gronkowski didn't actually injure his groin after scoring his 69th career touchdown. He just thought it would be funny/appropriate. That's easily believable. Snapchat worked with the FBI to popularize and secretly test and improve face recognition technology. We went from wow, this is like magic to this is totally normal in a few years, and there's no way that the technology isn't being by law enforcement. Have you read the terms and agreements of Snapchat? It's not that secret that most social media is selling your information, including the one we are using right now. Lotteries are actually traps for time travelers. Trader Joe's makes their parking lots small on purpose to make them seem more popular than they really are. Kyle Kinane, OP asked for conspiracy theories not facts. The development of the F-35 fighter jet is so over budget so the military can fund other top secret projects without making a new line item on the budget. It's the only conspiracy theory I believe. $10,000 for a hammer, $20,000 for a toilet seat. DB Cooper, the gentleman that disappeared with $200K after jumping out of a Boeing 727 that he had hijacked, took the money and created www.imdb.com. I was halfway through typing my Google search before I realized it was a pun. Wait, what does a movie website have to do with? 30 seconds later. Oh, I always hear the advice that, in order to stop being heckled by Scientologists, just ask where Shelley went or ask about the circumstances of her disappearance. It usually shuts them up. She went to the mothership, bro. Mattress firms aren't only holding mattresses, buddy. After reading about this on Reddit, I got to thinking. Once I needed a new bed, I decided to check it out. I went in and was approached by two salesmen. They had this $1,499 mattress that I really liked. The sales guy saw the twinkle in my eye and knew that I must have this mattress. I told him I liked it but I needed something more budget friendly. I was a broke ass at the time. He then said, well, we can do this one here on the floor for $950. I told him, to be honest, I only have $400 to spare. He says, hold on a minute while I make a call. Then comes out and says, okay, We can do $400. Just come back in an hour while we prep it. I left, came back, and they even helped me lift it up to my truck. Honestly, the best mattress I've ever owned. I get compliments all the time. The government spreads true conspiracies to make them sound ridiculous and unbelievable so that people don't suspect those conspiracies are true. Some shit is hard to hide, like aeroplanes. If you're testing it, people are sure as hell going to see it. Start something about UFOs. A few nuts will see your plane, then say it's UFOs. Normal people will dismiss the nuts. If a normal person sees a plane, they will think it's something else, or not share it to avoid being a nut. One of my favorites is that the government was behind hashtag Throwback Thursday in order to get us to digitize and upload pictures that they would not have had access to in order to improve age progression / facial recognition algorithms. I don't know about TBT, but the 10-year challenge provided anyone who wanted to grab it a massive amount of training material for a face recognition AI. That the CIA posts this question every time so they know what the general public suspect. Jeffrey Epstein is a Florida billionaire who probably is running an underage sex trafficking ring. A brief background. In 2007, dozens of underage women came forward saying Epstein was having sex with them in Florida. They also claimed that he passed the girls along to other elites and ran a sex ring / blackmailing service kinda. Trump, Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Prince Andrew are all known associates of Epstein and would go on his plane dubbed Lalita Express to a private island in the Caribbean. What happened next was ridiculous. Epstein hired the best legal team ever, like as good as OJ's. Dershowitz was involved and all that. Acosta was the prosecutor against Epstein and he is now appointed by Trump in his cabinet. Acosta gave Epstein the plea deal of his life. He was found guilty of one charge of sex with a minor, in spite of being accused by dozens of girls, and had to register as a sex offender. He got 13 months in jail, but he only served 10. Here is the kicker. He could leave jail 6 times a week to go work at his at-home office. He was supposed to go to prison but stayed in a local jail for some reason. He was granted immunity. All co-conspirators in the case were given immunity. This means that if further evidence comes out against other people with the case, they can't be prosecuted again. His house butler was found guilty of obstruction of justice. Regarding the evidence against Epstein, he got more jail time, years, than Epstein. The police commissioner on the case stepped down because he thought it was rigged. Miami Herald said it was the deal of a lifetime. Epstein is now free and still has billions of dollars. Acosta has told friends that he was scared to go against the powers that be because they would squash his career. This all happened in 2008, I think. The DOJ just reopened the case last month due to fuckery going on. Clinton and Trump, among other famous people like Kevin Spacey, have been documented flying on Epstein's plane to his infamous Lalita Express. A Miami judge just ruled last week literally that Epstein's case was illegal and violated law because Acosta did not consult the victims before bringing the plea deal. Multiple football World Cups have been influenced either by governments hosting them or other entities out for their own gain. 2002 South Korea, Japan, and 1978 in Argentina are the two most obvious ones that come to mind. It's well known that international sports, including soccer and the Olympics, are huge septic pools of corruption. FIFA is absolutely the most corrupt organization in sports. YouTube and a mobile browser is so shitty so they can force you to use the app and not use an ad blocker. This is true for most mobile sites, this one included. Not only do they want to run their ads, they want the data that an app can get compared to a website. Long John Silver's is some kind of money laundering scheme on the basis that they have been open for as long as I can remember, but I have also literally never seen a busy Long John's. Toxic delusion that I ironically entertain. Perhaps you clearly didn't grow up in a white trash family. LJS is a poor man's Red Lobster. We would eat fast food almost every night when I was growing up and maybe once a month get LJS. It was a treat. The oil and coal industries invested heavily in killing off nuclear power as an attractive alternative. These days we have reactor designs many times safer than other methods of generating power, and the waste issue is something that could be fixed with sufficient investment. Bob Vance was just trying to plug his business to the cameras every time he introduced himself. Kevin played dumb and was actually embezzling and or laundering money. The government experiments on the mentally insane because no one will believe someone with that kind of medical history. I feel like people overlook the fact that the government actually did experiments on Americans and fucked at least one of them up so bad that he moved to the middle of the woods and started mailing bombs to people, according to Kaczynski himself. The accounts of them cultural experiments have been wildly overhyped. To this day he claims he's mentally sound. He even wrote an autobiography from prison, Truth Bears Lies, to dispel this idea that the CIA fried his brain. Everyone should learn to code is a movement to flood the market with software engineers so that salaries can be reduced. That's also why they are dropping software engineer as a title for the lesser title of coder. Coder sounds so stupid. The president of the Philippines, Duterte, is very anti-drugs to hide his own involvements with drug cartels off which he makes billions. Vaccines are flat, and the earth causes autism. Some organization/group of people wanted all the Kennedys dead for some reason. The Laurel Canyon Conspiracy. Basically, if you look at the counterculture revolutionaries in the music industry in the 60s, most of them were the children of military intelligence people. So the theory is that the free love lots of drugs movement they inspired was done intentionally to distract the youth from a full-scale revolution. The thought was if the angry youth of the mid to late 60s were too high and getting laid all the time they would stop caring as much about societal ills and then basically sleepwalk through the 70s, which they did. I stumbled upon this when I was reading up on Jim Morrison and how his father was the one who called in the fake strike at the Gulf of Tonkin that kicked off the Vietnam War, and which was shown later to have been a false flag. Turns out, a lot of his contemporaries were also children of highly placed military people with ties to intelligence. Strange that they all wound up in Laurel Canyon as part of the same movement. Sometimes I really believe the rumor that Avril Lavigne died in 2003 and was replaced by her double. Other times I think it's complete BS. Amelia Earhart was taken prisoner by the Japanese. There's another theory that she crashed on an island and starved to death. A skeleton from around the right time period was found I think and the flesh was eaten by coconut crabs. Really upsetting imagining a horde of giant monsters ripping her flesh off. The CIA was involved in selling crack to low-income black neighborhoods to fund activities they couldn't get approved by Congress. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people believe there was some involvement and it's just a matter of degree. But, I think they were nuts deep in directly smuggling and selling crack through intermediaries to black communities with full knowledge of the Justice Department and executive branch. Women's pants pockets are significantly smaller than men's pants pockets to encourage us to buy handbags and purses. This is basically an open secret. There is a pedophile ring in Hollywood/government. This seems more like reality than a conspiracy theory. The value of expensive art is just as a pseudocurrency for rich people to subtly buy drugs or other illicit things. There's an underground PR firm that helps celebrities fake their own death to escape the harshness of the limelight or if they feel like their life is in danger. I-Pointy Tupac, Biggie, Paul Walker, etc. There's a conspiracy theory that Flight 93 was shot down by hastily scrambled jet fighters and or missiles in the interest of public safety, and that the government made up the relatively wholesome the passengers decided to fight the hijackers and sacrifice themselves story to keep up morale. I don't know whether it happened or not, but I can entirely believe it might be true. The recommended food pyramid is created by the FDA, but the FDA is funded by a lot of certain food industries, poultry, dairy, etc. They in turn made the recommended nutrition based off of their funding by these companies, and not based on a well-balanced diet. You have been visited by the Smart Studying Doggo. You'll be blessed with good grades only if you subscribe to Comment Awards and like the video. PG! On top, food chain won't stop. New game. Hot box that blue haze. One lock, 2 chains. No bras, 2 babes. Mic drop. New stage. Lights in my rear view. 5 cops. Full race. Faster than a Tesla. They say I'm exhausted. Looking for success. Like I'm crazy and lost it. Higher than a jet. Guess my weed is a rocket. The comments that my vids get are.